Okay, I have 6 o'clock. Folks, would you join me in the pledge of allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening. You are attending the Town of Canandaigua Planning Board meeting on October 22nd. We're gonna follow the agenda, so if you didn't get one, pick one up. Let me see if I can introduce the board without forgetting someone. Our secretary, Karine Hatch, and Kim Barker, our remote facilities coordinator. Board member Mark Tolbert, board member Scott Neal, board member Amanda Van Laken, vice chairman Bob LaCourse, I'm Chuck Euler, Sarah Reynolds, our town planner, Chris Nadler, our attorney, and Eric Cooper, our representative from MRB. So, as I said, we're going to follow the agenda tonight. And fairly short agenda, so I think we can get through it rather quickly. We don't have a podium, but
It's over there.
I was gonna tell you, to come to the podium, but then I looked.
Is it decommissioned or just out of the way?
I just forgot.
Okay. No, sorry.
Or maintenance people didn't put it in. Staff, janitors.
Okay.
Okay, when an item on the agenda you'd like to speak on comes up, please come to the podium, give us your name and address. Address the board as to if it's your application, as to what's your intent. The board will probably have some questions and response, and then we'll hopefully vote on the application. And it should, in most cases, wrap up this evening. So let's move on to knowing where the emergency exits are to the right and left. Should we have to leave the room? Please note where those exits are. Anything that's not on the agenda, I would wish someone to speak now or forever hold their peace. It's privilege of the floor. So someone here or someone in TV land like to address the board regarding anything that's not on our agenda. Okay, if not, we'll move on to the attesting of publishing of legal notices. Tonight we have 3 hearings, public hearings. They were all advertised in the Daily Messenger on October 15th. So let the record show that they were properly advertised. Okay, let's move on. First application before us is CPN 2024-101 from Elise Bowerman. She lives at 5605 Knott Road. Elise would like a special use permit for a major home occupation where she would like to operate a salon out of her garage. And Elise.
Hi, I'm Elise Bowerman. I live at 5605 Knott Road. And I would like to put a 1-seat salon in my garage. It's attached to the house.
Sure. So, yeah, Lisa's here for a special use permit, which is required under our code for a what we consider a major home occupation, even though what you're proposing is, if I understand, 1 chair, 1 sink. So I guess some regards it's not considered major, but in our eyesight, we have to consider it as a major, which puts us into various items that we have to check for. And I did see you provided a statement of operations, which includes a lot of information we just went over as far as the 1 chair, you have parking outside. You think as far as turnover, people coming and going, or at the most you'd probably have 2 cars?
Yeah, at one time. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And I think you have a concrete pad off
I
the
do.
side.
Well, it's right in front of the whole building.
More than enough for 2 cars.
Yes.
You did supply the special use permit checklist. Did everyone see that? Any questions or concerns about how the responses were? Okay. I guess the only thing that's left hanging is, I know Mike Murphy commented on, seems the space is adequate for what Elise is proposing to do. He did have some items that he would like to have checked at some point,
Yeah, there was a ventilation system that New York State required.
right?
And I talked to my supplier and I have it on my computer when I didn't know if moving forward, I would just send it to him. I have the schematics to that and how it goes with the New York State law.
Okay, is that pretty close to being installed or?
No, I'm
Oh.
not, and I haven't even started. I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay.
get a permit first.
Okay. All right, well, I just want you to
Yeah,
understand. that
oh no, I didn't
you
go
can't
any
open up-
farther until
can't
I
open
know
up
where
the
I'm
bar.
going with this, so, and he knows that, I've been communicating with him.
And I think Mike had mentioned something, okay. Property owner in our office have a plan moving forward, this includes building permits for garage door fill-in. New interior alterations, inclusive plumbing, ventilation, egress alterations. Review of the septic system inspection shows no concerns as it relates to the septic capacity, but the system should be inspected after 1 year of use.
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand that.
Mhm.
And Eric, do we have that as a condition?
I was just adding as condition 5, comments to the town code enforcement officer shall be addressed prior to beginning operations.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna work with him. I already told him, cause I'm just doing this in baby steps, so I don't really make sure I'm.
Okay,
doing it
well-
the right way.
This is your first step and
Mhm.
hopefully we can move you on to the next one. Anybody else from the board have any questions?
Since the hours of operation vary, are you thinking you need evenings or all?
No,
anytime, weekends?
majority of my clients are during the day. I have like one night I might work till like 6, and then there's one Saturday a month that I might work in the mornings. And most of the time it is one Saturday. It's my client Kelly's just like. So,
Just make that clear in your statement of operations,
Okay.
your hours.
they're not really
Varies.
set, so should I just make something?
The motivation would be that you set hours that you don't have to come back to us for all the time.
Right.
So if you want to be
Oh.
9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or whatever,
9
Gotcha.
to 7, so
for
that
example.
Right,
Whatever.
right,
if you're, the board's okay with that.
9 to 7, Monday through Friday, Saturday morning.
9 to
whatever.
9 to 9
Yeah.
or so. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, into that.
You gonna have a sign?
I don't have a sign and I didn't know what I was required to do. I really don't need a sign. Where the door goes in, the French door where the garage door was. Could just put a placard on top of the door for an entryway, if that's, I don't know what's required or how to go about that.
That's fine. Yeah, as long as you don't have a sign out the street or.
No, I don't know. Everybody knows where.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Anything else from the board? Anyone in the audience? Anybody have any concerns, questions regarding this application?
One question, any employees?
No,
Okay, we're good to go?
Yep.
All righty, Elise did request a waiver from a professional plan, so that is included in, acknowledged in the resolutions.
I suggest that in the resolution you identify the site plan. Because there's 3. Identify the site plan.
There's not.
Yeah, but there's 3 items.
Drawings.
Yeah, I think the one with handwriting on it is probably the one because it identifies. It identifies the salon door. 53 feet from the, without that. Theoretically, anybody who owns this property from now until eternity can put a salon anywhere they want. Process. You don't identify on the site plan where.
And this would be a perpetual, as you think, yes, this one. Okay. All right, it's been declared a type 2 seeker, so since we have 3 actions here, let's do the type 2 seeker first. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the type 2 seeker for 24-101. 5605 Mount Road.
I'll second that. Okay, motion second, any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, let's move on to the site plan. With the condition that it be dated or acknowledged, like pointed out as to which plan I'm talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
which one is not site
We're
plan?
approving a site plan waived, well, a site plan, that's our problem. So
Technically,
can I get a motion on the site plan?
I'll make the motion to approve, special use permit, single stage site plan resolution, CPN 24-101 at 606 Knott Road for major home occupation with the, any additional conditions?
You're just doing the site plan? or
Site
Site
plan.
plan right now.
Site
Okay,
plan,
so I didn't add any additional conditions to the site plan.
so 3.
Yeah, I just was going to change the first whereas section to identify the appropriate sketch plan rules.
Got it.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. A motion second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries, all right.
Especially.
Now the Fiesta
The last
results,
one.
the special use permit.
Okay, I will. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the special use permit for 24-101 at 5605 Knott Road. Mr. Cooper, I know we are adding condition 5 to account for the CEO conditions. Are there additional conditions?
Two other ones.
Okay.
Statement of operations to be revised to provide the desired hours of operation, being no later than 8 p.m. and earlier than 7 a.m. And then condition 7, the statement of operation shall be revised to clarify that there shall be no employees.
I just write a paper out and send it in and sign it. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second. Signage statement. This is a forever special use permit as long as the conditions of the special use permit are adhered to. Any changes, you'd have to come back to us, but I think
Mhm.
hopefully with the hours being spread out the way they are and assuming you don't take on other hairdressers and
No,
or
I'm
chairs
not.
and all that.
I'm on my other side of the hill. None of that.
All right, so I have a motion from Amanda. Did I get a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark.
Mark got a second? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks for coming in this evening.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah.
If you wanna hang out. Here you go.
See how your going works. Or doesn't work.
I still have to.
All right.
So.
Now we move on to CPN 2024-102. Which is very similar to 103, but we've got to take them separate. So let's do spend our time on 102. It's a final site plan requesting a final site plan for 5200 Foster Road, approval of construction of a single family home with associated improvements. The preliminary plan was approved back on August 27th. So Greg, how you doing this evening?
Good, thank you. Also, I see Nick and John Graziosi are both on Zoom with us.
Okay,
So we are requesting final approval for lots 1 and lot 2 on the Foster Road development. These are the furthest 2 lots back on the private drive. I think the first application is lot 1.
I
That's
think
lot 2.
Lot
lot 2, yeah, they're backwards.
And there's nothing other than showing the actual footprint of the proposed home. It follows the approved preliminary plans. We've addressed the erosion control as it specifically applies to that particular lot.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We've had some discussion, and I had some discussion yesterday with Eric and today with Lance. Let me say, first of all, there is an access utility easement that's in place that was put in place as one of your conditions on the subdivision. But there's an item on the resolution for preliminary having to do with drainage easements. And we're unsure of what the town is specifically looking for. I had a discussion with Lance today. Again, I don't know if Eric's talked to him, it's his opinion where these were to be drainage easements among the lots, not drainage easements to the town of Canandaigua. And we really haven't, we've been trying to grapple with exactly where these need to go. The condition was that these were to be on the preliminary plans, but we just haven't come to a consensus. And what the town's feeling is, and we're more used to filing easements as part of our final approvals, not preliminary. And in this particular case, since we're going on a lot by lot basis, I just want to bring that up. That's a matter I think that needs a little bit of, I think everything else with regard to these plans is fairly clear. We believe we've met all of the condition of preliminary, with the exception of, I think it's number 14, which are drainage easements. And it involves, you know, how do they go all the way down the steep slopes?
What's on your subdivision, but you should show that on your subdivision, and I'm thinking that the drainage easement requirement from lot to lot was a subdivision requirement and got carried over to this preliminary.
So
No,
was added the preliminary overall phase.
overall subdivision or site plan?
So it was subdivided first into these 5
Separately,
lots, and
completely
then it
separate.
came in for prelim overall. For
To handle the
development of it, right?
drainage.
And then, so they've showed the grading and stuff on it, and that's where the conditions.
Yeah, I think your only condition, well, not your only condition, but your condition on the subdivision was the access utility easement over the private drive, which basically covers all of the utilities to the homes, the drainage swales and the private drive. And that again was is a filed easement.
Okay, well, when the planning board, I wasn't at that meeting, when we set that requirement, what did we have in mind in terms of what kind of easements? Are we looking at easements?
We have the overall, so we can.
I was there at the meeting, but I thought the easement was to ensure that the flow stayed off their properties. It was a property easement to make sure that any overflows were gonna be.
At the very least, it'd be controlled to the point that it'd be designed to, right? So it's going to flow onto lot 2, that's how it's designed.
Yep.
But so that the owners of lot 5 and, well, doesn't have a lot number, but the one on the easternmost lot on Foster Road wouldn't basically fill in that swale, leading to drainage and flowing into the house where it's not necessarily designed to go.
Right.
So that's why it was, I think, intended to be protected. Town doesn't necessarily want to do the maintenance of these things, so it doesn't go to the town, but
Just
these
the
property
land.
owners want to have the protection, so it's actually draining where it's designed to drain,
Right. For the
Where
property
it's-
owners, not for the
yeah.
town.
where it's like directed and flows.
Greg, the runoff that's being collected and running down the drive,
Yes.
where does that leave the private drive and go on to a particular specific property? It's right down there at the driveway?
It's right on the, I guess it'd be the east side of the private drive. It crosses underneath this driveway into a swale that runs down here and then proceeds down the embankment. At the swale on the north side of, I'm sorry, on the west side proceeds down and just continues, and it continues down into the
So,
drainage area.
so I guess the concern is that that property owner would never have the ability or rights to block it off. And maybe that's why some sort of encumbrance easement would be needed to ensure that that flow continued in the drive,
Do you not
off
own
the
all,
drive.
John, do you guys own all these lots?
Yes, we own all of the sites, yes.
There's no problem providing these, right?
Correct. And I think the thought was, the conversation that we've been having is that, as we do each individual final site plan, we can add whatever easements, the town, the planning board, the engineers desire to be put in place. So instead of at the preliminary approval requirement, make it a requirement of the final signatures that the easements get put in place, and we can work with the town engineer or the board, where the easements are desired. So we can put easements any place that you would like them, and we just have to kind of decide how wide the easement is, and once it gets onto the next building lot, like onto this lot number 2, there's a huge mass of land there. And, we can have a 10-foot easement that kind of follows the swale. And then maybe, the easement can go 10 or 20 feet beyond where the swale ends. But I think, once it gets to there, the elevation change is so great, there's no more concern, I would say, that somebody could block it off, because you can't, they'd have to build a dam or something. So we can definitely add some easements where there's a point discharge through another lot between the lots. But we'd like to make that a requirement of the final signing of the plans, and kind of have it edited so that we can have the preliminary plan signed, so that we can do the grading and install the utilities at this point.
Most of the swales are proposed to be constructed as part of these first 2 lots, right? Like, when we look at lot 1, it's gonna show the grading, check dams and all that stuff that are proposed for lot 3, right? This one, which you can't really see on the screen, maybe you can. Not when I'm pointing anyways, it shows the check dam in between lot 5 and that other lot already proposed as part of this lot 2.
Mhm.
So where these are going to be right now, right? I mean, essentially, that's most of them. What else is remaining?
We do know where I would say 75% will be. One of the things with doing them in preliminary is that as we prepare a final plan for a lot, and let's say the person who's purchasing that lot decides they want a certain size house with a side load garage instead of a front load, well, that changes the grading for the lot. So in some situations, your grading is going to be adjusted based on the actual house that's going to be placed on that lot. So that's the only thing that would make filing an easement at a preliminary stage, and then you might have to amend that easement as part of final.
Is that's the only reason you're hesitant to do it? Because my thought is cheaper in terms of MRB and myself reviewing if you do them all at once. It makes me uncomfortable to do them piecemeal, because what if you sell all of the lots to some jerk who we don't trust as much as you, John, and they're gonna say, oh yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, if you want us to, go on the assumptions that we know what we're doing as part of the final approval for lot 2.
Big
and-
assumption.
John, we always have that assumption that you know what you're doing. So
But,
here's a suggestion, and this is just a suggestion, but provide the easements right now. And the condition, we can add the condition that, amendments that are reasonable within the engineer's discretion, so you don't have to come back to the planning board if you're just changing the pitch or the location of the drainage easement. So long as MRB is comfortable that if the water's still going the way it's supposed to go, you can just get their approval. Does that make sense?
Would you, can we assume that all of these easements would typically be 10 feet wide? I think anything more than that gets very intrusive, where some of these run actually through the middle of some of the lots. Yes, in the end, we can do that, and you still want to look at those maps and review those descriptions before John's attorney files that easement.
Yeah,
I mean,
because if there's,
these aren't easements to the town, these are gonna be easements among
Property
Homeowners.
owners.
the
Yes.
property owners.
Yeah, just protecting, blocking them off and.
I don't
Well,
understand how.
you've
they
got
got
two of the
subdivided
lots here, you're
without the
doing
easement
final on,
style.
so
Right.
whatever we come up with easement wise
You're
here.
gonna have to amend these plans.
Can
before
go
we
on to the
bring-
preliminary before, and I understand the preliminary's not been signed.
Yeah.
So you can at least put those easements for lots 1 and 2
Right.
on it,
Yeah,
and then
Not a
it's the
choice.
other 3. Well, it's,
Which will really be.
Yeah.
Sending it to lots 1 and 2. And that's what we talked about at the meeting, was to make sure that when we develop this property, that it gets done in a whole for the water. Because if we piecemeal it, the problem was, even we had neighbors coming in and saying that wet back there, we want to make sure the water goes to the right.
right, and that's why we did that. I mean, we took even the 2 lots that were previously subdivided, we had to change the grading on both of those lots to tie in with the 5 that were created for. Or Venezia. So the grading for the 7 lots was done based on those 7 lots being developed the way they were approved.
okay,
All right, that was just, it was.
So everybody-
It appeared to be the,
well, we know that. Whatever easements are involved with lots 1 and 2, you're gonna do that now and put it on the preliminary.
right,
And I guess you're gonna take a swag at the other lots in terms of where you would anticipate easements to be placed. The one between 4 and 5, or 5 and 6. So, I mean, otherwise, every time you come in for if you get the preliminary approved and you put easements on there and you have to change them. Theoretically, technically, you gotta come back and change the preliminary overall, right? I mean, that's what we've done
Yeah.
with other ones.
You do them simultaneously with the individual.
Right,
But and an amended preliminary over.
so that could happen. And then how the lots are developed 3 or 4 times. As each lot comes in for final.
Show where the drainage is going on the overall. Would you pull up the preliminary overall plan? If you,
CPN 24-80.
yeah,
While we're pulling it up, are there any items on the preliminary, other items remaining as far as? It could hold up that being signed?
I don't know if Lance has looked at these plans. I know you just submitted them in cloud permit yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to really look them over too in depth.
The amended preliminaries just came in yesterday.
Right, so they were just submitted in cloud permit.
yeah, we had provided paper copies, and then we're asked to put those on cloud permits.
Okay, we got the preliminary overall.
that's that's the site plan, you can,
Do you want a specific sheet?
if you got the grading plan.
It's got easements on it.
Well, that was just a feeble attempt, what I looked at. What seemed reasonable is first of all, this 16-inch culvert that comes across, there would be an easement that would go out here, so there was one. And then we've got drainage between here, comes around the back of lot, I think that's 3, and then out and down into the woods. Those are the 2 main areas of where you don't want to block the wind.
Sounds like a good place to put an easement. Across that path.
That's essentially what.
Greg, it sounds like you're contemplating moving these the drainage path. Is that?
No, I mean, that's the grading plan that you approved as preliminary, we don't plan on. We don't plan on changing that. Or regrading this project, I mean, the drainage, the way we've got it, the drainage works well. It addressed the stormwater issues. And the runoff issues, so.
And if you have to change the drainage, you'll be doing it as part of the site plan application anyway for that individual lot.
Right,
At which point the planning board.
So, I mean,
Yep, you can. It's a-
yeah, I mean, I can add those, basically, it's 2 easements with descriptions and tomorrow on the plans, but we're just trying to get, it was an item that we didn't really have any input, I mean, it showed up in the conditions of approval, but it really didn't show up in the engineering comments, it wasn't an item with, so once we started looking at this from a drainage standpoint, we were trying to. Sometimes, it's usually easy if your drainage is going down a property line, you get a 5 foot on one side, 5 foot on the other. But this was a little more complicated. But I understand what you're.
Any other conditions, Sarah, or the remaining? Or you haven't looked at revised plans?
No, the plans are the same as the paper ones we had, we just hadn't put them on both.
There was, I think the ECB comments hadn't been put on the plans, they were put on the ones they sent yesterday.
Okay,
So I think it was easements and ECB comments.
yeah, you can already
There were-
provide utility easements and showed the access easement.
Mhm.
um,
And we're just, that was shown based on the easement that was filed by Vanessa.
This area right here, part of that turnaround.
Yes.
I assume this is required to provide that for us, is that? Like, this dash area, is that intended to be like an extension of the easement there? or-
That is part of the file
That's
easement.
part of the file. easement?
Yes.
And that's the document that Anthony provided, it was recorded on June 23rd or 13th.
I believe that's
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
It was a 60-foot access easement.
Yeah.
Which allowed room for the road and the utilities on either side.
On either side, and then as our genie develops they'll take their own easements as they develop their plans for serving the. But they handle that independently.
And your intent is to put that road in
It would,
right from the get-go, right?
yeah, that's as part of lot. when the builder starts lot one and lot two, which are there are lots that they have contracts on right now. That road will have to go in, as part of that.
Okay.
Your final grade on the road, is that asphalt? Or what's your final, it doesn't say it on the land.
I believe that the John and Nick final on the road will be asphalt.
I don't recall offhand, but I do believe it is asphalt. I'd have to look back into the contracts, but yes, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
show it.
90% sure it's blacktop.
It has to be. You show a typical section of a private drive.
Yes.
I think later, and that was inch and a half of binder, inch of top.
Yeah, I think we did show the town's private drive typical
Yes.
section, which is
Yep. It is paved, yep.
paved.
So that, one other question I had on it is that you have a proposed, I always like that word proposed 12-foot driveway. Is it an actual 12-foot driveway? For the house?
Yes, the driveways for the house start at 12 foot wide and then they widen as you get in front of the overhead doors.
Yeah. And for my own benefit, what is an environmental 1 unit? I've seen it in 2 different places.
It's a low pressure sewage pump. They're used in quite a few areas, actually quite a few around Canada Lake, but they're a low pressure pump. That will pump the sewage. Now,
Okay.
they could choose their other environment. One is a brand, a product. They could choose, there are other types of pump stations, Liberty, Gorman Rupp make them. And so it's what we called out on the plan, but the builder, since they're private, the builder could choose to use a
Yeah,
different brand.
I didn't know what it was, but
Due to the elevation of the sanitary sewer, we have to pump a couple of these lots. We can sewer with gravity, but at least 5 of them are going to require pumps to get up to the sanitaries.
thank you.
Okay, we received this afternoon from Kim the draft minutes of the ECB meeting when this application was discussed. Their recommendation on both these lots was the ECB recommends that no trees be removed beyond what is indicated on the plans. Protecting the steep slopes of the gully, everything in the back. If the homeowner wants to do any tree removal in the future, it's strongly suggest that he contact the town prior to any removal. I think you're showing the limit of the
Yes,
construction.
we do. We have a limit of disturbance
Disturbance.
and then silt fence. Yes.
Okay, the ECB recommends native species. ECB recommends homeowner use Lake Smart lawn care, minimize lawn areas as much as possible. See the Canandaigua Watershed Association details. And lastly, the ECB recommends the homeowner perform regular maintenance on the storm sewer mitigation technology items in their property. So the on-site systems, including the check dams, the dry wells, to keep these functioning.
Those, I'm sure we will make sure that those are mounted. Those conditions are part of the final plan for each of these lots.
And again, as far as not going any further than what you need to go to build the house and
Right.
provide the lawn, you're showing the limited disturbance, and that seems to be reasonable. What do you call it? Is it clear limit? That's the limits of disturbance.
Yes.
Little extent.
Yes, I yep.
The Ag Committee found no loss of ag lands as a result of this application. Jim Fletcher had some comments regarding the water service. And I think you have Jim as a condition, right? He'd be okay with what's happening. How you making out with the sewer? Have you gotten
I've
county-
been working with Jack Braun at the county. I had to resend him some plans. He was struggling a little bit with pub permits, so I've sent him some additional. There's no issues with regard, if we were having discussion about the type of manhole, we're putting in one new manhole. Across, making sure that that manhole is per the Ontario County details, so we're just trying to finalize that right now with Ontario County.
But he's okay with your concept of
If kind of-
5 force mains?
Yeah, and he wanted me, we've been working at wherever we could maybe change from pump to gravity, that we do that, so I was working through that with him just to see that, you know, if there was an option to go gravity, we would do it.
That's probably on the frontage lots.
It is, yeah, it's actually
Not
the two lots that were previously subdivided. It looks like we can do gravity, the laterals may be a little on the shallow side at the house, but we can insulate.
Okay, we received this evening from MRV a review. Eric, is there anything here you'd like to point out to the board?
Yeah, apologies for getting this out so late to everybody. Greg, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at it. I know I just put it up on thought earlier.
I
today.
didn't see, I haven't seen them yet.
The big thing is just between this one and lot one, which we'll talk about afterwards. The pounds are largely the same, it's just understanding. It's kind of part of having both of these lots come at the same time, like. You know, if this roadway is to be constructed as part of phase 2, I mean, really, there's just one phase going on there, it's just there's 2 lots. But when does this roadway go in? Doesn't show like on the prelim overall, it'll show like construction entrance there, soil stockpile and all that stuff. But it doesn't appear on either of these 2 plans. You have these elements of the drive shown here, but no like silt fence associated. It's kind of like a mix between lot 1 and lot 2. So it's just a matter of like making it clear, I guess.
Yeah, that was one of the difficulties I mean, going final lot by lot makes that normally with a development like this, we would do it
Right, yeah, one phase.
One-
it's like
one-
2
right,
lots or whatever.
and then, you know, when they actually develop the lot, that would just be a plot plan for a permit, but we're just trying to adapt to what town wants us.
Well, I think you stated it should be documented either on the plan or the approval. That the road and all utilities would be installed as part of the first plan, first house. Is that-
That's fine, that's correct.
Yeah,
And the applicant, the developer has submitted a letter of credit and then they have a pending permit for clearing and grading for the road and the 3 rear lots, and to get all of that worked out one time. That they've already started on that road so that they can get in there and do some preliminary work.
I'd go as far as to say that work, that road has to be done before a C of O is issued for
Oh, yeah,
how, because remember Fox Ridge, the problem we had with where Anthony's house is?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the road didn't get built, the gas lines didn't get put in. It was somewhat similar to this, at least in terms of beyond the back toward his house. So we just want to avoid that kind of issue again, because it's a big inconvenience to the buyer of the homes, as well as the developer who's trying to get a C of O. So just make sure all that work gets done.
That is our intention, is to get in there, put the driveway and all the utilities in, and then build the houses as we go through. So that is our intention.
I don't know if I mentioned this last time when you guys referred to me, but the private drive, did you name it yet, or have you named it, or have you talked to the historian about a name for it?
We haven't done that yet, but one of the homeowners has a idea, so I want to run it by the historian in the town. They just gave it to us last week.
Thank you.
Will they all have Foster Road addresses or will it be a?
If it's,
Of
if
course,
they,
drive.
if they do get a private drive name, and they can work with the assessor and the fire marshal to get addresses on that private drive.
And mailboxes, I know personally well, mailboxes on Foster Road are on the south side of the road. That's where the mailman goes, so you're gonna have to figure out your mailbox configuration, John.
Yeah, whatever the postal service would like us to do is what we'll do.
Thank you for providing the elevations of the home. That is the home you're gonna build on lot 1, 2
Yes.
rather,
Yes,
and lot 1. First floor elevations are on columns, contours, reflect columns. Greg, I think I'd mentioned during the subdivision process, there was some fill put in back there. Did you account for that fill in your grading plans? The shed was, the barn was taken down. And then shortly after that, material started coming in. And they probably raised the grade 2 or 3 feet.
I believe we were provided the topography by Venezia, who in discussions with them said that represented, what they provided represented the conditions after the demolition and Bill was brought.
Well, every once in a while, another fluid comes in, but John, have you looked at the site? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
yeah, I'm very familiar. The fill dirt that we brought in there is all in, we gotten a fill permit, but it's all in order to get these grades on there. You can see the elevation of each one of these houses is raised up above the existing grade. So we brought in some fill from a project that we had over on Westlake Road, and we got a fill permit. And there was fill there prior that was adjusted the first set of plans. But yes, we're going to stick to this grading plan, these elevations, and that dirt that's there is needed to do the project the way it's kind of drawn at the moment.
Okay, as long as you accounted for it, it's not going to cause you a problem. Okay.
Nope, but we definitely are aware of that.
Board, anything else from the board? Anyone in the audience? Want to address the board regarding either one of these applications?
Wait, are we doing both?
Well, the actual voting will be one of
What we're doing both,
yeah,
we're deliberating, so.
deliberating
Just
in the
wondering,
interest of time.
just wondering if we're gonna repeat the exact same conversation.
Well, I guess we're now to the point. Subdivisions have been filed, so we've got the lots are there. Preliminary overall is
On its way.
on its way,
Close to being signed.
close to being signed. Okay. So how, in consideration of these 2 lots, do we consider the fact that the overall is not?
Condition number 1 of your proposed resolution is before you get these 2 site plans signed, you have to complete. You have to get your preliminary overall site plan signed. That's.
What you propose?
No, I'd say I'd.
Well, no, but I mean, you're getting sort of backed up with.
We are, but we just wait.
Okay. Maybe. There's some doors, they all get signed at the same time.
You want that?
Well,
Oh, there is.
just the sequence is the overall has to be signed before any of the finals. Okay. Okay, so there was no seeker because that was taken care of with the preliminary. So we're down to final phase plan, site plan resolution. Anything else we have to address before we go to that? I think we pretty well chewed it up. Anything else you have, Chris?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Someone want to make a motion regarding the final phase site plan, or let's do lot 2, which is 24-102.
I'll make a motion to accept the final phase site plan for CPN 2024-102, lot 2. It's 5,200 Foster Road with Eric.
15 conditions now, the added ones, ECB comments be addressed and provided in the plans. Approval from the Ontario County Planning Lake Sewer District be provided prior to certificate of occupancy. Comments of the town engineer be addressed before signature. And the roadway be constructed to the satisfaction of the town code enforcement officer prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy.
When did you say the county sewer?
Prior to CMO.
Is the first whereas correct still as August 24 for the site plan date?
16.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, that was a preliminary plan you submitted, so that's, has nothing to do with this resolution.
Got it.
But the final plan, the last one was September 16th. I'm just thinking with the sewer. Should maybe be before building permit, in this case?
Well, they're not gonna be, they might not get it before building permit. And that's on them.
I know they
Can't
want
get a
to
CMO.
get out there and get grading, so that wouldn't hold it up as far as grading, but.
I think we would need a little more time than before a building permit. If possible.
So a C of O, so the risk you run would be, you build a house, it's all ready to go, and you don't have approval of the sewer authority and can't get a C of O. That's,
Which is fine. I mean, the sewer authority always takes quite a bit of time to get through the process. Greg's been talking to them and going back and forth, so we're 100% confident that, that it's going to be provided. It's just a little bit of, details to work out. So we're comfortable with taking the risk on building the houses and having it before the C of O. That's typical in most of the towns we work in.
Once we get working with Ontario County and getting the approval will come pretty well. What we have to do after that, though, is we have to, because it's a dedicated sanitary sewer, we have to submit to the DEC. They have, since there is no Ontario County Health Department, the DEC has to approve dedicated sanitary. That can sometimes take a little bit of time. It's just typically it's a rubber stamp.
I guess the only reason I'm a little concerned is it is a unique type of system. In having, 5 separate laterals, all on force mains, all injector pumps. But I'm sure it's not the kind of system that the sewer district sees every day. Typically, they see gravity lines and sewer laterals going in on laterals, so. All right,
We do these on quite a lot of our longer private drives. We've got a 7-lot subdivision in Walworth. We're going to do something very similar, 7 of them all going into one pipe out to the sanitary. So we do these quite often. And they are on a lot of houses, single family houses all over, maybe not this specific road, but they are around.
And if they, if they, for some reason, don't get it, they can't get a C of O. I mean, if they don't have sewer, they can't get. But frankly, they're not gonna build a whole house. Because you gotta put sewer in at the bottom.
yeah, well, but I'm sure they'll put the sewer in.
Oh,
Yeah, but
either
whether
way,
they get approval for it,
then that's,
yeah.
that's their service.
But it's their responsibility. Yeah, Fox Ridge. Okay, I'm COO, I'm okay with COO. The builder takes the risk, I guess. Okay, anything else? We had a motion with 15.
I'll second it.
15. phosphorus notes. Okay, I'm ready for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to the other lot. Anything, anything unique about this lot that's different from the last lot, other than it's on the other side of the road? Full plan up, Kim.
Very similar. See,
Anything there is, I know. During the subdivision process, remember Mr. Brown, the neighbor to the. East, west, I guess it was.
Yeah, west.
He was very concerned about that swale that runs down to the gulch, and it's just going off the plan there on the far bottom left.
that runs along the side of that, proposed house.
Yeah, and it's well away from the where you'll be working and well out of your limits, Stuart.
Right.
And John, this lot has a different house, and you did provide the elevation for that, so that's what's going in there.
Yes, that is the house. Yeah.
Then we got a similar letter from MRB regarding this lot. Same thing you could send. And we just indicate what we did on the other lot. Okay, same conditions?
Yeah.
Okay. Board have any other conditions to add? Anything specific to this lot?
The only question I had is, should they show lot 2 driveway on it as an access? I wasn't sure if that should be shown.
I mean, we can, we're trying, yeah, I mean. It's,
Which one's gonna be built first?
I would, yes.
We're planning on starting 2 and then proceeding to the next one, so they'll be built, together, but 2 will be started, a week or so before the other one. But
So
they're
it'll
built-
be in place. It'll be there already, basically.
correct.
No, we can just turn it back on, it's just turned off as part of creating the separate site plans.
Thank you. That's all. The only question I had.
Anybody else here? Anybody else out there? Anyone from the public? Just the board on this application? If not, let's move on. We have a final phase site plan resolution based on a plan last revised September 16th, which I think is the latest. Subject to the same conditions that were imposed on the last resolution. Anybody have any problems with that? If not, give me a motion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion for CPN 2024-103. This is lot number 2. No, this is lot number 1. At 5200 Foster Road with the same 15 conditions.
Okay, got a motion from Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mark gave a second. For discussion on this application, if not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. John, how far are you away on the other lots?
We're talking to a couple of clients. I think we actually have the front western lot with someone who's going to build on it. So we should be submitting. Hopefully Greg can get it submitted before the November 1st deadline, so we can come back in December, I believe, for that first western lot.
We just got the footprints today, yes, we're gonna submit next.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Right, I guess.
We got a to-do list.
For,
But you haven't till the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's not new.
Not doing anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your time.
Don't doubt it, don't doubt it.
Don't tell them that.
All right, thanks, Greg.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Here's copies of them.
All right.
Great. So, yeah.
Moving on, CPN 2024-104. We got Donald and Julie Brown. They have property 3207 Daisy Way. You're not the friend? Oh, you
We
are?
are, yeah.
Okay. Tell us what you want to do on Daisy.
What's that?
Tell us what you want to do out on Daisy Way.
We'd like to apply for a special use permit at a tourist home, for our, finished basements, be an Airbnb. It would be, there's no kitchen, there's no food served. There's a mini fridge and a microwave and a toaster, I think, but no proper kitchen. Ideally, it would be for people going to a concert or a wedding in for 1 or 2 nights, maybe. We wouldn't, if we were out of town, we would not open it up. We would always be there. Obviously, it's our primary residence. We live there year round with our kids.
Okay. So under our terms, it's called a tourist home. So you're asking for a special use permit for a tourist home, being represented by one bedroom and bathroom downstairs. You've submitted a statement of operations. Which I think, if I remember, pretty well lays out what you just said. You're in, there's an HOA with that development. There's not.
There's not.
Okay. I know we ran into a previous situation where after the SUP was granted, that homeowner association said, we don't allow that. That was between the homeowner and the HOA, so. So good, you don't have that issue to deal with. I guess our primary concern is safety. I think you mentioned as far as if a client pulls into your driveway and parks or you're showing there, the way they would get to the room would be.
To the north, there's a public access to the,
Okay.
and that's gravel. There is a grade there, but then once you get even with the back of the house, it's negligible, I would say.
So coming down off the gravel pathway, that's pretty flat coming down to the patio. Correct. And I meant to get out there, but I didn't get a chance to look at it. And you did we received some emails from neighbors. 2 neighbors who were okay with what you're proposing. Requesting a waiver from a professionally prepared plan. I guess at some point, Murph will have to, does he go inside and look at the house, the room? Compliance with public building plans?
Well, this is not a short-term rental, and with those, we only do inspections if there's a question or if something's not clear or code enforcement wants to take a look. We don't always require it, but that's for short-term rentals. I guess that would. be
Yeah, well, this is, yeah,
something
it's
that
an SUP.
planning board wants it.
It's a good question, Sean. Well, is it required by building code is what you're wondering?
Well, I know we have in the resolution that the zoning officer shall make a on-site visit at least once every 3 years, but that's just to make sure, yeah, that's
That's the special use.
yeah,
permit.
that's related to special use.
Also condition 4, which I think we carried over from the previous approval, probably one.
The one in Fox Ridge.
Just that code enforcement officer and zoning officer, or
Okay,
visit to make
that's what I was thinking.
ensure compliance. with Building town.
So you would have to request from our code enforcement officer, through your request to him, that you come out and do, or he come out and do an inspection, just to make sure. You know, fire and safety requirements, I don't know if the fire extinguisher is required or. Whatever's required, I mean, you're not an Airbnb and you're not a short-term rental, you're just a room. And, so
Yeah, but it's like it's a hotel room essentially.
It's a-
It's
yeah.
a hotel room.
Yeah, it might
Those-
smoke detector, probably
Or,
requires that.
or B and B, at which point I think there is a code enforcement required, there is a building codes requirement. But
Okay, well, I think condition 4 covers it, it'll be up to him to determine what, if anything,
you're
is
fine,
needed.
which is,
If it is. We don't see these every day. So. No. Okay, so board have any other questions on this application?
You said you're advertising on Airbnb?
Yeah.
Is that the only place?
Yep. I think VRBO is full home only.
Okay.
So it doesn't apply to us.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And you provide linens and towels and do all that stuff. So you have to clean up after.
Mhm.
We just.
We do.
Yes.
We
They
do
don't.
clean up.
They're on vacation. All right, does anybody in the audience
I have
have
one
any
question.
questions?
Do you have house rules?
We do, in terms of no smoking, no animals, things like that, noise.
Like, stay on our property, don't
Yes.
wander,
Yes.
things like that. We've had that in other ones as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I notice you're right next to an easeway to something,
Is that
that road or that pathway or something.
it's a pathway,
Yeah, it's a
yes,
pathway to
yeah.
the.
It's gravel, goes through.
The trail or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my question, yeah.
Do you have written rules that you give to the, when they arrive, or,
It's part of Airbnb, so you post it,
okay,
so it's all electronic.
yeah.
okay.
Bedrooms at the home now.
The home, three not counting the basement, 3 in the last things, yes.
Anything else, Ward?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have a type 2 seeker. We have a site plan, which they asked for a waiver on.
They've also asked for a waiver of, and the entrance.
The 3-bedroom is not a minimum.
It is plus home.
Well, it's a minimum of 3 bedrooms, maximum of 5. That's what I was just reading that, so I was asking the question. Containing at least 3, but not more than 5 bedrooms.
No, we don't want.
Is it the
You're wavering.
rental or the?
I read that as the dwelling, an owner occupied dwelling used for providing overnight accommodations and containing at least 3, but not more than 5 bedrooms. So at least. Oh, so you're saying it's at least 3 for compensation?
They're not using. Just.
I also don't have a problem with waiver, so. I'm just trying to,
Sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm trying to learn
What's
that
the-
from tourism.
I think the town had a problem figuring out where to categorize this
These are.
operation. It's either a tourism or it's not a STR. Because the STR, the home, there's no host, it's not a B&B. Because they don't serve breakfast. So it's unique. But you don't have trouble with granting the waiver? Yeah, okay.
And I'm just really, as we got this, I looked at it and I'm like, with all the stuff that's been going on, like, what the heck is the difference with the tourist home? And as I read it and everything that I looked into, really the only difference is that you also live there.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets away from a short-term rental because they live. And that they're also, it's owner occupied, I guess is the way to say it.
Right.
It's also,
No use of the kitchen.
doesn't have a kitchen. So it doesn't meet the definition of providing everything for, what is it?
A dwelling unit is
For
what
living.
a short-term rental only applies to dwelling units. And a dwelling unit requires complete living facilities, which would include a kitchen.
So we couldn't call it a short-term rental. Which is why you got a couple of these. I would like to potentially change our short-term rental law to allow these also, but we aren't there.
Yeah.
We should have a comparison list of.
What category does it
Okay.
fit
Why
into?
is this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's,
But, or let's minimize the category.
so with the waiver. Yeah.
Entrance, not.
Yes.
So since we, again, have three resolutions here, let's do one at a time. I'll make a motion that we declare this a type 2 action under seeker that no further review under the seekers required by this board.
I'll second that.
Okay. So motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's move on to the site plan, which is essentially a request to waive the comparison. Professional site plan, so someone want to give me a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve a single stage site plan on 24-104 at 3207 Daisy Way with still 3 conditions,
Yeah,
standard 3.
I don't know if that date was May 28th. That would have been before the application, so. Waiver request was 9/16.
What happened? We're 16. Well,
Nancy's
so keen on it.
Okay, so we have a motion to second. Did I get a second?
Did we get it? I'll second.
Thank you. Yeah. Motion second to approve the site plan, which includes the waiver, professional plan, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And last, but far from least, is what they really came here for, the special use permit. To allow them to operate. Someone will give a motion, and do we have additional conditions?
one condition, that the planning board has granted the requested waivers for. Whatever, like the 1 bedroom instead of 3. and
Oh,
the,
relief from the,
where the entrance is located.
No, I don't think they know about that.
the entrance. Entrance has to be in front of the house, no.
Item K on chapter.
361.
All access to the lobby room shall be provided from the main entrance to the tourist home, which Eric noticed the other day, we didn't ask them, but they're leave for that, so we need to ask them.
Okay. So there's a waiver from that too. Okay. So we get 3 waivers.
Site plan.
Site plan. Okay. And this is another forever SUP. So with inspections periodically by the zoning officer. Okay. Further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Wait, you didn't get it?
I'll make the motion with 8 conditions for
I swore I
307
heard.
Daisy Way.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion from Scott. Amanda, give me a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We did it.
Okay.
All right, good luck, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I like your shirt. Thank you. Yeah.
Pretty
No, sorry. I like your shirt too. It's cool and blue.
Yeah, I love those
I've
web
got 5
tabs.
different versions.
Yeah.
Thanks for dressing up. Okay. Last but not least, on our agenda is CPN 2024-106. A public hearing for Anthony Venezia representing Trevor, is it Dobies or Doobies?
No, it's Dobies. Anthony's actually flying on a plane, so he wasn't able to attend, so that's why I'm here.
Oh, that's no excuse. All right, it's a minor subdivision, property of 21 acres plus or minus in the AR2 zoning district. Mr. Dobies would like to split it into 2 lots, one 15 acres, the other 6 acres. I will open the public hearing. This application. So, want to tell us what you have in mind out there? What's your plan?
Yeah, so we bought the 21-acre lot on 21 South. We're looking to subdivide the southwest portion of the property, roughly around 6 acres. We're gonna keep the 14 for ourselves, and then the other 6, we're probably gonna sell off to one of my family members.
With the intent to build a home?
Yep, we're gonna build a home on the 14, and then they're gonna build on the 6.
Okay.
That's the plan so far.
You intend to continue to farm the property at all?
No, we're not gonna farm the property. We just, it definitely needs to be bush hogged up on the 6-acre portion, but we're not planning on farming it.
When was it last farmed?
The farmer just picked up the hay back in August of this year. And then up on the 6-acre portion was all corn. And then on the 14 acres was the hay.
You have some natural resources on the property which you've labeled. The hardwoods, the steep slopes. I guess the other thing that should be mentioned that was stressed by our ag committee was that it is in the strategic farmland area, and I don't know if the board read their review. They're very concerned about the loss of farmland. I guess it's better farmland. It's not prime, but it's obviously farmable if it's been made with hay and used with hay and corn. I don't know where that leaves us. As a board, do we have the right to tell a property owner what he or she can do on their property once it's subdivided? I mean, if it's not subdivided, I guess they could build a house on one lot. So now we run the chance of 2 homes, which is that something we should be concerned with?
And nothing's set in concrete in any situation. We're gonna subdivide it. And if no one wants it, then we're just gonna keep and hold on to it.
Okay, well, I had the impression the 6-acre property was earmarked for someone. Someone was.
Yeah, it depends on if their job comes back or not. So we're not sure if they're gonna be able to move back or not, but we're just gonna keep that portion.
So town code section 174-15 subsection M. States that prior to granting a subdivision, the planning board shall consider whether the subdivision design allows the continuation of agricultural practices on the balance of the site and or surrounding parcels, and considers the effects such design shall have on minimizing the impedance of such practices. Impedance, here is what that word was. It's on a completely missed a pronunciation. So your question isn't, they're not farming at all, they're not being impeded, but your question will be whether or not this design of the subdivision is a problem for continuation of agriculture, not whether or not they can subdivide.
Yeah, I don't think the subdivision in and of itself is an issue. It's only in the future a site plan would come in for, which is something I guess we could consider at that time. As far as its effect on farmland and the possibility of being able to continue to farm it. Of course, if you can't get a farmer to farm it.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell somebody that just bought property that they can't do what they want to do with that, unfortunately, because it happens to be on farm land.
Well, an example would be, there were an NRI features, it's just a big solid field, and a subdivision plan came in with the road right up the middle that require the installation. of roads.
Yeah,
That would be impeding the potential for ag. And that would be, you know, reason you could tell them that if you gotta redesign this.
Did you have any interest from the farmer or farmers of using the property in the future, next season, growing season, or would they like to continue using it?
So we did talk to the farmer that we bought the land from. I wasn't sure if he wanted to keep farming it because we let him get the hay. That's what his main concern was with, that was kind of a contingency with the land purchase. I know my wife has a lot of farmers like in her family, so we could always reach out to them. But that's not something I really thought of at the time because we just purchased the land back in August.
The challenge that we're working through is really twofold when you look at a property like this. We're always concerned with the natural resources available. And one of the key directives within our comprehensive plan is the preservation of agricultural properties. And with this one being rated higher in a transition area, it makes some of the decision making related to that more challenging. Just being transparent with what we're faced with here. So that does become a little bit more of a challenge as we make the decision as whether or not to allow something. Because the idea is that we're trying to preserve these types of properties. For the
Well, I would assume if and when you ever build a home on either lot, that the home will be up toward 21. You're not gonna stick it way back in the back and.
Yeah, no, because of the utilities you would have to run, it would be absurd. It's very far back. So yeah, we would be definitely closer towards the road. We're not trying to preserve the land. Like we just put up, you know, a tree stand back there. We're not trying to take trees down or anything like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
And I guess the septic analysis that Mr. Grove did for you more or less lays out where your potential septic systems could be, which would be, I would assume the house would be in front and the septic systems in the back. So you're probably looking at between the septic systems and the road where a future house would be at some point.
Yep, because we did the perk test right around there just to make sure, and it's just kind of a rough idea. It's not an exact location.
Well, the fact that with a subdivision, nothing's changing physically out there. Is there something we can put in the subdivision or on the subdivision plan saying that please be aware that this is, you know, land that's under the farmland protection and
It's on there, but where the town's right to farm well, there's something at the top that
there's
says.
a note up there about this farm, but I don't think it doesn't say what I was thinking.
How about this, Chuck? A note shall be added to the plans that future site plans should. The planning board will take into consideration on future site plan application. Whether or not farming practices will be impeded by the location of the site plan feature.
Potential.
Yeah, well, because there's no farming practices, but by the time he's gonna apply for the site plan.
Do we point in as the strategic?
And that would apply to
land
both ones.
Designation.
Isn't that what it said? Oh, potential
You could
for
sell one
farming practices, because there won't be farming practices at the time, yes, so.
Don't you add in the plans, the planning board would take into consideration the future site plans impact on the potential farming practices on the site.
Potential farming practices, not potential.
And that would apply to whether he develops it or he sells the lots and somebody else. So
Yes.
it goes with the land.
Right.
Does that relieve some of the concerns that board has or all the concerns?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, then that takes care of that. Huh? No ag data.
Very great part of.
Say,
Yeah.
In our eyes, we talked about, it did go to, New York State Department of Transportation, got no comments back from them. Oh. ECB. You looked at this, right, Kim?
No.
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 Oh, no, this is the one that you,
You made a mistake.
Yep. Okay. Oh, you can catch them on their site plans. We did talk about the ag committee's concerns. Hopefully we've addressed them. Okay. Anybody in the audience? Like to address the board on this application? If not, I will close the public hearing and we can move on to the seeker, which in this case being a subdivision is unlisted. Someone wants to handle that if there's some.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve this unlisted action on CPN 24-106 at State Route 21, no address given.
Okay,
I'll second.
the motion is second. Further discussions on the seeker? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's move on to the subject. So move on to the subdivision plan.
I'll make a motion for the single stage subdivision for 24-106 at unaddressed State Route 21. I believe we are potentially up to 5 conditions.
Condition with no added plans, take into consideration future site plan impacts of potential common practices of lot 1 and lot 2.
Perfect.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you guys have it. Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, minutes. We had a meeting back on the 8th of October. Someone want to give me a motion to approve Kareem's minutes?
Yeah, so moved. Approved.
I'll second.
Second, motion second, and I assume there are no corrections or additions. So as published, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a release from Scott Morrell out of Pierce Brook, section 2A. Someone wants to discuss it or move ahead to a motion if they feel comfortable?
I have a copy of it.
It is for it's request number 2, 220,000, almost 221,000 of original 2.2 million, leaving 1.883 million for the project.
Chuck, I'll make that motion that we release letter credit for 23-038, in the amount of $220,996.36.
I will second.
Okay. Talking real money here.
It's got all the signatures that I'm supposed to check on.
Except one.
I would take yours as signing after.
I always, I yield to you before I sign. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I just wanna look.
1%.
alrighty, training. So the STR training Thursday night. Essentially,
Thursday night,
listen,
6 o'clock.
Thank you. Make sure you have signed up for your allotted number of credits, so we wrap everything up at the end of the year.
Let me just forget what I'm.
Special projects, that landscape manual that from Victor. Wow, pretty intense. 85 pages.
I didn't get that, I didn't see that.
I think, yeah, sent out after the year, so. Do we want to share with the board, or do you want to, with your group, environmental board, work on it and then come up with a recommendation? And if your recommendation is we look at something along that line, then you send it out, or send it out now?
Yeah, I'll probably have to circle back with the, tree board, because they have created the other list. So, and there's also a document that Sarah had pointed out that is the, it was produced by the DEC. That one is also very useful.
Yeah, I always thought the Victor was over. I mean, that was very detailed.
It was very detailed.
I mean, we don't want to make this thing so complicated. I mean, we don't want to go from having no experience to becoming landscape architects. Well, again, we leave it in the good hands of the environmental board. Any other items on the projects? All right, let's wrap it up then.
Make a motion to adjourn at 7:32.
Oh, something.
You
I'll
will
second
accept,
it and accept.
accept and second. Thank you so much.
Agreed.
Okay. Got a motion and second. Hopefully no one disagrees. Not?
Next meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Excuse me?
Next meeting.
Next meeting is the, no,
We don't have anything on the, it's the 12th.
The 12th,
We don't have anything.
November 12th.
well, yeah.
There's nothing on it.
Right?
There's
According to
there's
the-
nothing in cloud.
Yeah, it's whatever club it says.
That's what I saw today. I was shocked.
Maybe one or two.
Wait about a year.
We're gonna all just get together.
I know PRC.
I'll be just.
There was
I will just be in September.
Three.
I'm flying from Florida that day.
Utah.
Utah.
But
That
I'm
day.
assuming
I'm feeling better.
if there's one or two, you'd like your town planner to reach out to the applicant and say, hey, is this like a real pressing thing, or are you okay coming into, right?
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
just,
objection?
Sure.
thinking about the next meeting. I think the reason we moved that thing back to the end, because we had loaded up the, 22nd.
Oh,
All right,
I
hold
can't
up.
believe it already.